Well, I hate to say expert. I really dislike that word, but I obviously it's something that I have practiced quite a bit, and practiced the methodology of personality typing. I would say some of the harder aspects was early on when I didn't really fully understand it, and more importantly, I fully didn't understand myself. So in a way, the hardest parts of understanding personality type were having to do with myself and figuring out my own. And once I started figuring that out and started figuring out the way to go about it, and that there are strengths and weaknesses with each type, and no matter what you read, you got to have confidence within yourself. It started to get better. In the beginning, especially when you start an education company, and most of the time when you get into education, it's kind of the same thing, right? People are like, oh, you just got to do well, push your kids hard, succeed, and then eventually they'll go to a great college. And then once you go to a great college, then, you do these kinds of things. And I was kind of on that track, even like at an early age. And I think it was somewhere in the middle of my high school years. And it wasn't like I was doing poorly in school, but it was kind of like, this is not important. I don't feel like it's important. It doesn't feel authentic. So I'm totally just going to like shove it away and not even care about that stuff anymore. And I took a lot of flack from my fellow classmates and my peers who were like kind of saying like, oh, you're like not utilizing your potential and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, maybe my potential lies elsewhere aside from just studying, And I think that I'm glad that I took that risk because I think that's led to my success in a totally different way. And while maybe other people doing it their way helped them, I think doing it my way helped me. I think just running my education company and teaching my teachers about that and how a lot of them warmed up to it. Now, some of them did not, but really, I guess it's probably those instances where I felt the best about it, because those that did not warm up to it initially, either through the fact that they had been teaching for 30 or 40 years and they had one set way of doing it, or whether it was just something that didn't necessarily naturally fit into their personality type. Like they didn't think about those things as much. They didn't self-reflect as much, but I was pushing them to do this for a job. So they had to. And I think those that didn't warm up to it in the beginning started to warm up to it, especially they started to see its effectiveness with their students. And I think that probably was the turning point. Now, because some people just love learning about themselves and learning about other people, and that's great. And I think that's very easy to sell the system. But I think for those people who just never really flexed that muscle before and started to see its usefulness and that there was a lot of truth in it, I think that probably was the turning point for me. I don't think I ever truly understand what I'm doing, but I think we're constantly on that path to growing more and getting better at it. I think my approach has become a little, definitely more open. Not that I was very compartmentalized before, but when I first started learning as a high school kid, you're definitely putting people into boxes. And now I'm more about the methodology in terms of it's not really important having some kind of certainty. You're not like, okay, this person is this and they're never going to change. It's more, okay, I think this person is like that. And because they're like that, I'll interact with them in this way because I think it'll have the best potential for growth in our relationship. And then adjusting when you get new information that might change what you believe about the other person, not in a bad or good way, but it just might tell you more about them. And you're like, oh, I used to think they were this animal personality type, and now I think they're this animal personality type. My methodology is based on animals. So if I said that randomly, it's because, yeah, that's what my methodology is based on, animal personality types. It's kind of wonky and it's kind of developed like the simplest form. There's four personality packs. And within each of those four personality packs, there are four animal personality types. So the reason why I separate people into packs first is because each one of those packs has a separate core value. And I think if you have or you share that core value with someone else, you're more likely to understand each other, communicate with each other, and really like be on the same page. And I think sometimes that's an issue with a lot of the personality typing methodologies where they just have like one layer to it, right? So it's really hard because you see someone who's pretty similar to you and you're like, okay, I must be the same personality as they are. But then there's different levels to that stuff, right? So I think having the packs first and then the four animal personality types within that is a nice way of saying, okay, there are people that are really similar to me and that I'm going to connect with and understand. But within that framework, we're also going to have our differences and we're going to achieve that value that we love so much in maybe different ways.